Celebrating 49 years on the air, award-winning Farm Week is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.
Today, in an encore report on Farm Week, sometimes when they don't have anything else, farmers turn to their faith. In Southern Gardening, Eddie says this time of year may be perfect for going cool. Back on our special report, praying over the farmers' fields, making all the difference in the world. And in our main feature, the rural news biz ain't what it used to be, but it can still be viable. Farm Week starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Zach Ashmore.
And I'm Mike Russell. Thanks for joining Zach and me again here on Farm Week. Happy New Year. On Christmas Day, we ran for the first time a new episode of our On the Farm series. Because it was so well received, we decided to bring it to you again right away. It's entitled A Faith-Based Industry, and it takes us to the Mississippi Delta, where in the darkness and struggle of turmoil on many of the farms there, one pastor has used faith to shine a small ray of light to let farmers know they're not alone.
So day one, first day on the job, I had, a family. I'll never forget. Family said, "Hey, will you be in your office this week?" "Sure, I'll be in my office this week." Come on by, let's visit." And so they came by and they were going, okay, so last year was tough. This year is even tougher for the farmers. This mom and dad, who had 2 children and have a couple of grandchildren, are saying to me, "We are gonna have to file bankruptcy. And all of our family has been farming these fields, this land, for nearly 100 years, and we're going to file bankruptcy, and it seems like it's going to end with us." And I go, okay, well, this is an outlier. And unfortunately, it became the norm. Let's pray. Let's pray. God, we're so grateful for the day that you've given us, and we're so thankful that we have an opportunity to just praise you today. And I pray, God. I grew up in North Mississippi. I'm a Mississippi boy, but I'm definitely not from the Delta. So this is my first foray into the Delta. I really never even considered farming, never really thought about farming, and I'm just being honest about that. You just assume that your food's going to be there, the clothing is going to be there. You assume, somebody's doing it, but as long as I don't have a lack of, I really even think about it. In Clarksdale, Mississippi, we have no backup industry. There's no furniture industry here. There's no car industry here. There's nothing. It's agriculture. We make it or we fail on our agriculture community. If I'm going to be spiritually helping those in a farming and agriculture community, then I've got to learn. And so I've set about connecting with farmers. Out of those conversations, I began to become aware of how I and the church as a whole can better support this community. We had plans in place to have what we called Fields of Faith. And we just started advertising as a church family, hey, we want to bring our farmers together. And we want you to know that we see you. Had no idea at all how many people would show up. Had nearly 200 people show up. And we were going, okay, this has struck a nerve in this community.
I've been very blessed. My grandfather, my father, they were all, good farmers, good stewards, and been very profitable. And so I don't want to be the one that something happens. Everything just keeps going up. We're yielding is about as good as you can yield, great yields, blessed with good land. It's just to the point where it's like I told somebody, we can't out yield these input costs anymore. It's just, and it's a real unclear picture, looking ahead. It's just a little scary. I've had bad years before, but the next year you have a good year and you're okay. But now if you stump your toe, you're about done. It would be a disaster. The only thing I can control is to do the best job I can, to grow the best crop I can, and do it as efficiently as I can. And you just got to have faith, and it's hard. It's hard sometimes.
So Pastor Franklin has an idea for something he hopes will help the farmers. We'll find out what that idea is and how it impacts the farmers of Clarksdale a little later in the show.
Our first Southern Gardening episode of the new year reminds us that the weather is still somewhat on the cool side, but Eddie Smith reminds us that though it may still be chilly, you can still have a little fun with some cool veggies. Here's Eddie.
Some cool season vegetables thrive in our southern fall and winter weather. And today on Southern Gardening, I'm sharing 3 of my favorites. First up is Swiss chard, one of the most eye-catching and versatile greens you can grow. Its bright stems in shades of red, yellow, and orange bring a splash of color to the garden, and the leaves are perfect for sautéing or adding to soups. Swiss chard tolerates chilly weather extremely well and keeps producing over a long season. Plant it in full sun, give it well-draining soil, and harvest the outer leaves as you need them. Next is broccoli, a cool season staple. Broccoli needs cooler temperatures to form those firm, compact heads we all love. Broccoli thrives in nutrient-rich, slightly moist soil, so be sure to add compost and keep it watered, especially during dry spells. And of course, we can't forget kale. This leafy green is one of the most cold-tolerant vegetables you can grow. In fact, a light frost can actually improve its flavor. Kale adds great texture to the garden and is delicious in salads, stir-fries, or smoothies. Kale grows best in full sun, but can tolerate partial shade, making it flexible for many garden spaces. Swiss chard, broccoli, and kale are easy, beautiful additions to your fall and winter garden. With just a little care, they'll keep your vegetable beds productive all season long. I'm Eddie Smith. I look forward to seeing you next time on Southern Gardening.
We'll take a break right here, but don't go away. Coming up in our Farm Week feature, you know it, we all know it, newspapers are dying, especially in rural communities. It's not a new thing, the demise of newspapers. The U.S. has lost 1/3 of them over the last 20 years. It's becoming a news desert out there, but a Kansas publishing company is asking its rural communities to look inward and support the paper. Can rural journalism survive? That's coming up. Don't go away.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations and their faith, and their right to make their own plans and arrive at their own decisions, and their ability and power to enlarge their lives and plan for the happiness of those they love. I I believe that education, of which extension work is an essential part, is basic in stimulating individual initiative, self-determination, and leadership, that these are the keys to democracy, and that people, when given facts they understand, will act not only in their self-interest, but also in the interest of society. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations, and their faith. I believe in intellectual freedom to search for and present the truth without bias and with courteous tolerance toward the views of others. I believe that education is a lifelong process, and the greatest university is the home. That my success as a teacher is proportional to those qualities of mind and spirit that give me welcome entrance to the homes of the families I serve. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
Back on our special report, A Faith-Based Industry, in the Mississippi Delta, Pastor Jason Franklin has an idea for something he hopes will connect to the farmers of Clarksdale. We pick up with his admission that churches can sometimes be far more about talk and less about action.
The church has notoriously done a pretty poor job of supporting people in crisis. We people of faith are really good about saying, well, you're in my thoughts and my prayers. A thought and a prayer is good, but boots on the ground is even better. How can we take visible action to show these people who mean so much to our community of faith, our community at large? How can we show them? One day I'm driving into my driveway, and next door to me is a family, and out in front of their front yard it says, proud supporter of St. Elizabeth School. And I went, hey, why can't we get signs made up? And so I had 50 made, and the next Sunday I told the church, I said, hey, put it in a visible place. I want to make sure that farmer, when he shows up to his field to plant, that he sees that sign out there. Or if he's already planted, he sees that this field's been prayed for. And so those 50 were gone that morning. Well, I came back the next week and I said, hey, I got 75 more signs gone. So I ordered 50 more. I have had more people text me, call me, so grateful to show up to my farm this morning and see this sign. What a blessing it was to know that these people have intentionally come out to my field and put a sign here.
Oh, it's a wonderful thing. I mean, it's, it allows you to, like, hey, you're not alone. You got other people here that know what's going on, know the problems that you're dealing with. You know, there's been many times I've beat myself up, like, what am I doing wrong? You know, am I doing something wrong? I'm not yielding enough, or am I, finance-wise, am I not looking at my finances close enough? We probably do keep some of that in.
I'm just doing what I can as a minister to support groups of people that I know that are in crisis. That's what we do. And I tell you about farmers, because they are isolated, they don't really know how to communicate these struggles, because we're taught in the South, when you pull your bootstraps up, man, and you just push through. And so what I think has happened, these old hard-crusted bootstrap farmers come and they're just chattering. And whether they know it or not, what they're doing is they're supporting each other. From the mental perspective, maybe having those conversations is more beneficial than they even really realize.
Oh, if I didn't have my faith and have faith in God, there's no way you could make it farming, because you would have no hope. You know, you've been working your whole life, like me, for 32 years. I don't want to lose everything I've worked myself over the last 32 years in a matter of a couple of years. And that can happen, and it's happening right now. And it's scary because, you know, there's people that have been just like me, third and fourth generation. I mean, my son's farming with me now. He's fourth generation. Well, I don't want to pass this down to him like the way it is now. You know, I don't want to quit farming because I don't want to put that stress on him.
So I had a young farmer sitting out on the front porch of his house, looking out over his farm. He said, I need a home run in 2025. If I hit a home run, if I get my crops planted, if the rain, sun, wind all work out for me, my yield was as good this year as it was last year, on paper right now, I will lose $400,000. A farmer's life is a perfect parallel for anyone's faith journey. A farmer cannot control the rain. A farmer cannot control the wind. I mean, it's all left up to faith.
Lord, you know, just help me get through another day, you know. And the next day, hopefully it'll be better.
Very important. If you or someone you know is in emotional crisis, call or text 988 anytime for confidential, free crisis support. Well, Pastor Franklin really found a way to connect to the farmers, didn't he?
He certainly did, Mike, and there's an interesting connection there, because back in the day when I was earlier in my career, I was working at the television center at First United Methodist Church, and for a short period of time, Pastor Franklin was the associate pastor there. So it was really interesting to see him show up in this story and saying, hey, I know that guy. So it's nice to see he's connecting to the farmers there.
And we had a strong reaction to the story as well. Well, here on Farm Week, we also focus on rural life, and much of that is covered by the publishers of newspapers like these. But depending on who you talk to, it's harder now to stay afloat. But turns out the smaller the circulation, the better the chance the community is willing to support a paper. Here's Colleen Bradford-Krantz.
The sun has barely risen when 4 women began their work in the back room of the Hillsboro Free Press in Hillsboro, Kansas. Within an hour, they are joined by middle and high school students who will deliver the papers, under the watchful eye of school employees, as part of a life skills class.
We were able to get one of the paper routes, and so we come and pick up the papers and fold them on Tuesday mornings, and then deliver one of the paper routes, and it teaches them work ethic, and that's what our classroom is about.
None of this might have been possible if it weren't for Joey and Lindsay Young. The couple took over the Hillsboro Free Press and run 2 other South Central Kansas newspapers during a period when many might have looked at industry trends and fled.
It's just, I really liked it, and it was youth and ignorance. Like, it was just that, like, abundance of, like, 20-something-year-old attitude that, like, you're indestructible and that, like, older people don't know what they're doing. I think there are certain things that we did better. And then there were a lot of things that I needed to be humbled with and that I was, you know, just flat out incorrect about.
It was 2012 when the Youngs bought their first newspaper, The Clarion, in Andale, Kansas.
Lindsay and I lived like paupers. We saved my copy desk salary for 6 to 8 months, something like that. We sold a car to get enough down payment and enough money to put in the bank, which was still not enough, to purchase the paper.
The Youngs, with their money and time invested in keeping local journalism alive, are part of a shrinking group. According to Northwestern University's Medill School of Journalism, the United States lost more than 1/3 of its newspapers over the past 20 years. The nation now has 208 counties without any local news source at all, areas Medill calls news deserts. If given a choice today, Joey Young wouldn't change the path that led him from his job at a daily newspaper to where the couple now operates their Kansas publishing ventures out of the Harvey County Now newspaper office in Newton. But he would change the conversation about local journalism.
All I hear is this really depressing statistic that everybody likes to throw out to claim that like newspapers are dying, right? Never is there a follow-up to where like, hey, that town lost 50% of its population over the last 20 years. If you're losing Main Street businesses, do I think that there's a magical answer for sustaining journalism in your community? No, I don't. Like, you have to figure out how your community is going to survive. If your community is going to survive, a newspaper will survive.
To make sure community members and business owners keep a bit of focus on their local newspapers, the Youngs and their employees have done everything from a Halloween-themed toy ghost treasure hunt in downtown businesses to hosting an annual concert in a local park to a Friday community happy hour in the Newton newspaper office.
We used to have a Democrat elected to State House, which represented Newton. He came for a Beer Friday, and so did the local head of the Republican Party. And we were all just hanging out, having a beer. And I was like, well, this is great. You know, this is America. This is the way things should be. We're all just kind of having civil conversation, being a part of the community, which I think is special.
He knows not everyone is interested in being engaged in their local community, but enough still see value in it.
A lot of these small towns, you know, the people that live there, they grew up there and they know just about everybody. So when you have a local newspaper, you can connect to those people that you've known. You can see if someone you know is going, like the homecoming queen and king, who's in the games, like as far as sports, what kind of local events are going on, like festivals.
But the financial struggles are real. When paper prices spiked during COVID, the company struggled to break even. Instead of suffering quietly, the Youngs were honest with their readers and put out a survey to see whether they wanted to rely strictly on the digital versions or pay a little more to continue the printed version.
9 out of 10 of our readers said they wanted a print paper and that they would pay more.
Nearly 90% of subscribers stuck with them when they went ahead and doubled the subscription fee. Throughout their dozen years as publishers, the Youngs have struggled with recruiting journalists, as some aren't sure about living in smaller communities. They are not alone with this challenge, as other rural news outlets also struggle with recruiting. As a former high school journalism teacher, Lindsay came up with a plan for non-journalists called Earn Your Press Pass.
This was just a way of saying, okay, well, here's, somebody who's lived in our community for 20 years. They've put kids through the school district. They work here. They know everybody. And let's just teach them how to write and do a good interview. And now they can be an asset for the newspaper.
Lindsay cringes to think of a future where more counties become news deserts. She says that ghost papers, where the product is still there but with no local reporters, are not much better.
We take a lot of pride in just making sure that local governments are doing the right thing, and having a person at the back of the room is amazing how much that holds people accountable to make sure they're doing the right thing. And I feel like we're protecting our taxpayers too.
Ultimately, it's the upholding of the newsroom's traditional task of being the recorders of the first rough draft of history that matters to her.
I think for us as community papers, we are the only recorders of history. There isn't anybody else that's writing any of this stuff down or reporting on it. being such an intimate part of a community and being a place where people trust you with their stories and with, you know, what's going on, I think it's such a gift, and it's humbling, and it's really fabulous to be a part of. So I absolutely 100% am head over heels in love with the industry.
I still enjoy the feel of a crisp newspaper in my hand.
I'm more of an e-reader myself.
Generational thing, I guess. Well, next time on Farm Week, sometimes you have to make your own luck. The inspiring story of a savvy and hardworking family that produces beef like few others.
For them, what started as a dream 1,000 miles from home turned into a multi-generational operation, thriving on the pursuit of possibilities. And they did it by honoring their own vision.
The story of Boyer Farms, that's next time on Farm Week. And before we go, an unusual call for police in Southern California a few days ago. This cow was spotted very calmly strolling down the road in Murrieta, that's near Temecula, about 60 miles north of San Diego. Officers slowed traffic, guiding the animal out of harm's way. It had apparently wandered away from nearby while its owners were out of town. A neighbor eventually stepped in to get the cow to a safe location. No one was hurt.
I guess they had to hoof him out of there. Remember, if you missed a story, look for past episodes of Farm Week on our website at farmweek.tv.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next week. Thanks for watching.